Now, I don't know about you, but so far I've thought all the default styles were complete garbage. Let's change them together. You might remember this slide from the Theory of Style Sheet Languages lesson. We didn't go into detail at the time because we didn't know enough about HTML yet to talk about the code on the screen. Now we do after discussing HTML elements and tags. Example 1 is an example of an HTML style element. You can write CSS rules inside of a style element, and they will apply to the whole HTML document. Example 2 has a style attribute inside the opening tag of the HTML paragraph element. You can write CSS directly inside of a style attribute, and the styles will only apply to that single element, not the whole HTML document. In example 3, we see an entirely separate CSS file, which is how we'll be doing our styling in later lessons. Separate CSS files, as seen in example 3, are generally preferred over doing our styling with style elements or style attributes, as seen in examples 1 and 2. However, since this is a lesson about HTML attributes, let's ignore examples 1 and 3 and only focus on example 2 for now. The style attribute in example 2 is inside the opening tag of the paragraph element. Any HTML attribute is always going to be in the opening tag of an element, whether it's the style attribute or one of the other attributes that we'll learn later. If it's a void element, meaning that the element does not require a closing tag, then the HTML attribute still goes inside the tag. So whether it's a regular element or a void element, attributes will always go inside the tag. The order of the text inside the tag is important. It does matter. The name of the element must always come first, and then any attributes after that. Attributes are always written as the attribute name, followed by an equal sign without spaces, followed by a pair of double quotes. The text that goes inside the double quotes is called the value of the attribute. I've written some CSS inside that pair of double quotes. You can see that I'm using the CSS color property. I'm using it to override the default color of the paragraph element text, which is normally black, and I'm changing it to be blue instead. Don't worry about memorizing this CSS. We have tons of lessons on it later where we'll break down all of the rules and syntax of CSS together. For now, let's focus on the goal of this lesson, which is practicing HTML attributes. Remember how I said we'll always try to practice first in this course, and then learn theory second so that you remember it better? We're going to try out the style attribute together in Replit right now. After we do that, the next lesson will go into HTML attributes in much more detail, and it will be easier for us to remember because we've already practiced it. So please flip over to Replit in your web browsers. Please open up our first web page project again. We previously created a style attribute on the opening tag of an h1 element. Delete everything except that h1 element. Now let's try out some more style attributes and 2 CSS styles. First, try making a new paragraph element with text inside of it that says, "Testing my first attribute." I'll give you a second now to pause the video if you want to practice without watching me do it. Okay, let's make that paragraph element together. First, we need a left arrow, followed by the letter P, followed by a right arrow. At this point, Replit should autocomplete the rest of that tag for us. Now type in "testing my first attribute." Hit the Run button, and you'll see it in the preview window on the right side of the screen. Alright, now where do we put the style attribute? On the opening or the closing tag? Hopefully you all said the opening tag. Please add a style attribute, and as the value, write the CSS that we learned to turn the paragraph element text red. I'll give you a second again to pause if you want to practice without me. Okay, let's add it together. Inside the opening tag, please add a space after the P character, type the word style, then an equal sign, followed by double quotes. Inside of the double quotes, just like we did on the h1 element, type the word color, a colon, a space, and then since I asked you to make it red, let's type red instead of blue, followed by a semicolon. Press the Run button again, and we should see it in the preview window on the right side of the screen. For now, we only experimented with the colors red and blue, But there are many others, and you can even make your own custom colors. We'll cover that in the CSS lessons later. Now please make one more paragraph element with the text testing my second attribute. You've got 1 second to pause and try it now without me if you want. Alright, time's up. Let's make it together. A left arrow, the character P, a right arrow. It should be auto-completed at that point. The text testing my second attribute, and then press the Run button and we should see it in the preview window. Now we're going to try a new CSS property. This one is called font size, and it will change the size of our text. Let's add the style attribute together, a space after the letter P inside the opening tag, the word style, an equal sign, followed by double quotes, remember no spaces, and then to use the font size CSS property, let's type font-size, followed by a colon, followed by a space, and then 32 px, and another colon. The px is short for pixels, and it's going to set the size of our text to 32 pixels. If we hit the Run button, now we can see it on the right-hand side of the screen. Pretty cool, right? We made our text much larger. Finally, we can style different properties at the same time. Watch this. Add a space after the semicolon for our font size property, then write the word color, a colon, then the word green, and a semicolon. Press the Run button again, and now our paragraph has both larger text and its color is green. That's enough for now. Let's learn about other attributes in the next lesson.